Hello, I'm Trevor Martin, one of the marketing managers here at EIQ Networks. I want to thank you all for joining today's webcast. Today's webcast is entitled Identify and Remediate Vulnerabilities with SOCVue Vulnerability Management. Our speakers today are Karun Malik, the Director of Strategic Alliances at Koala, and Ivan Yevsikov, Technical Product Manager here at EIQ Networks. As a reminder, all attendees are in listen-only mode, so if you have any questions, please enter them in the Q&A section of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the session. With that, I'll hand it over to Ivan to begin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ivan Yevsikov, and I am a Technical Product Manager here at EIQ Networks. I'd like to start off by thanking all of you for joining today's presentation on the SOCVue Vulnerability Management Service, and to just give you a brief overview of what we'll be talking about in this webinar. We're going to start off by discussing about what vulnerability management is, why it's on everybody's mind, and why it should probably be on your mind as well. We will then take a brief look at the approach that EIQ Networks has chosen for addressing this issue via its unique combination of people, process, and technology. Karun will then give us a little bit more insight into the Koala Cloud, which is the technology powering our service. We will then drill down into the vulnerability management lifecycle steps and the specific ways in which our service saves you time and effort. We will then briefly discuss the way in which we deploy our service, and finally, we will conclude with a closer look at our own SOCVue Portal. So, vulnerability management is not a new concept, but it is one that has traditionally been known to require a lot of diligence and time to be successful. And that time is something that many of us simply do not have. A vulnerability is a security exposure that results from a product weakness that the product developer did not intend to introduce, and once an exploit is found for this vulnerability, the vulnerability acts as an open door for attackers. When the vulnerability is initially discovered, a lot of effort by experienced hackers or teams of hackers must go into finding a way to exploit it. But once the exploit is found and is shared online, getting into your system becomes as simple as downloading and writing a script. And this is exactly why the time between discovery and the remediation of a vulnerability is critical to the security of your environment. In fact, vulnerability management is a top 5 security recommendation from the Center for Internet Security, who claim that organizations that do not scan for vulnerabilities and proactively address these discovered flaws face a significant likelihood in having their computer systems compromised. And this is where EIQ's SOCVue Vulnerability Management Service comes in. There are many vulnerability solutions out there, and some of them may work for you, but we believe that real security value can only be created by combining technology, process, and people. Our vulnerability management service is powered by the Koala Cloud technology, which we believe to be the best of its kind. The Koala platform is then manned by our 24/7 Security Operations Center team, which consists of network and security specialists who will become an extension of your own team. Our SOC team works closely with you to really get to know your network environment and establish proper vulnerability management processes, including risk assessment, vulnerability scanning, remediation tracking, and reporting. We then manage these processes through the workflows built into our SOCVue Portal. And now I'm going to turn it over to Karun, who's just going to say a few more words about the Koala technology that powers our service.
Hey, thank you, Ivan. So Koala, as you all may be knowing, is a leading product cloud vendor in the vulnerability management space, and we are rated by most of the analysts year on year as a leader here. Koala today, because we're on the cloud, we are elastic, we are scalable, we are dynamic, and we have a big, huge knowledge base today that covers all the QIDs in the vulnerability management space. We conduct around 1 billion+ scans per year with 6 Sigma accuracy. And our cloud SOCs are certified for SSA, SOC Type 1, Type 2, Safe Harbor, and we're also undergoing FedRAMP certification. The cloud platform really also has the capability of doing network mapping, certificate tracking, along with the VM solution. Because of the scale, the breadth, the security, and the feature sets that are built out on the cloud, today, 8,800+ customers use globally our cloud platform across the globe. We also support PCI scanning, so we are the leading PCI scanning solution used worldwide by PCI vendors. And we also have a global customer support 24/7. We've done some great integrations with EIQ, which Ivan and Trevin will talk about more. But any questions around the Qualys solution and the integrations, we could take them later also. Over to you, Ivan.
Thank you, Karan. So up on my screen, you can see the Qualys Guard Vulnerability Management Lifecycle. We divide this vulnerability management lifecycle into 6 general steps, which are discovery, prioritization of assets, assessment, reporting, remediation, and finally verification. During the first step, our SOC team will use the Qualys technology to run a discovery scan, the results of which will be used to find and map the assets in your network. Once all the assets are discovered, our team will work with you to determine the business value of each of your assets and group them accordingly. Most of us know that not every single asset holds the same business value to our company. Let's say, for example, we compare a tablet PC that belongs to your graphic design intern with a server that is running a database that stores all of your customers' credit card data. Although the compromise of either system is undesirable, the database breach will have a much greater and potentially even business-ending impact on your company. So once all of your assets have been mapped, prioritized, and grouped, the EIQ SOC will use the Qualys Vulnerability Scanner to assess your network for vulnerabilities. Through our unique partnership with Qualys, we are actually able to offer you unlimited vulnerability scans. And this gives you complete flexibility in how, what, and when you scan. Of course, our team will provide recommendations on the optimal scanning process for your environment, but the option to scan or not to scan is always available to you. And what this translates to is that you can schedule scans weekly, monthly, or even daily. You can scan a single asset, a group of assets, or if you'd like, all of your assets at once. You can also request ad hoc scans at any time by just contacting our SOC. A good example of this is, let's say you have just added a new server to your network, and you need to make sure that it's secure and ready for production. So you just create a ticket in the SOCVue Portal, and our team will be happy to scan your machine for you and make sure that it's ready to go. When you do run your first vulnerability scan, though, you can find yourself facing thousands of vulnerabilities. Choosing the right vulnerabilities to remediate first can be daunting and is actually one of the largest time sinks in the vulnerability management process. But our security analysts will comb through your vulnerabilities and prioritize them based on the business value of the affected asset and the severity of the vulnerability. Then they will create tickets for the most pressing issues, and you will be able to access and respond to these tickets via our SOCVue Portal. Furthermore, the SOCVue Portal will provide you with a snapshot of security posture with status and trend dashboards, and even its own metric called a risk score. And the score reflects the overall vulnerability of an asset or a group of assets or your entire network. And then our team will create reports that will be custom tailored to your specific business and security requirements. And these can, we'll take a look at them a little bit later, but these can range from high-level executive reports to super detailed vulnerability analysis. And you always can choose to have these reports either emailed to you, or you will be able to access them directly through the SOCVue Portal. And these tickets and reports contain remediation guidance. They will tell you that if and what exploits exist for a particular vulnerability that was found on your network, and whether the vendor of the software has yet to release a fix for this vulnerability, and if they have, where can you find the appropriate patch to fix it. And so through tickets, our team will recommend the patches that will have the greatest impact on your organization's security. And at that point, it is up to you to deploy the patch in your environment. And once the vulnerabilities have been patched up, we recommend that you scan those assets again just to confirm the success of the remediation. And yeah, we really encourage you to take full advantage of our offer to have unlimited scans. So the vulnerability service is super easy to get up and running. Our team will install the very lightweight Qualys virtual appliance on your network, which will scan your environment internally and send the data to the Qualys cloud. And we're also able to perform external scans on your network, which are actually a PCI requirement. And then the information will be processed in the Qualys cloud and pulled into the SOCVue Portal, where it will become available to you. EIQ's security operations team will work within the Qualys cloud to set up scans, schedule reports, and manage asset groups. There's absolutely no need for you to access the Qualys platform at all, because our team will take care of everything. And so now I'd like to take you into our portal just to take a bit of a closer look and gain a little bit more insight into exactly what our service does. Just one second here. And you should see the SOCVue Portal up on my screen. And so this is the dashboard that you see when you first get into our portal. And from here, you can get a general look into what is happening in your environment. You can look at the number of critical vulnerabilities on your network and how that number is progressing as the time goes on. And it's just a good idea to keep an eye on this dashboard to make sure that your environment is moving in a positive and secure direction. Under the Vulnerabilities tab, you can take a closer look. Here we display all of the vulnerabilities in your network. If you'd like, you can take a closer look at each of the vulnerabilities. You can see things like the impact of the vulnerability, what the full vulnerability name is, and potential remediation. You're also able to very quickly see whether if a ticket has already been created for this vulnerability. And if it hasn't, you can quickly create a ticket, and you can assign it to either a member of your own team, or you can assign it to the EIQ SOC, like I can assign it to myself, for either more guidance, or if you have any questions about the vulnerability, they're always there to help. And then we can take a look at some of our, and then, okay, so under tickets, you can see all of the tickets that have been created in your environment. Just a quick overview of the communication between you and the SOC and the other members of your team. And finally, under reports, you can see the reports that have been generated by our team. This is a demo environment, so we only have a couple of reports published in here. But you can take a look here. We can see a very, very high-level executive report. It shows you the vulnerabilities that have been found in the network, what the distribution of the vulnerabilities by severity, and trends, whether you've gotten more or less vulnerabilities since the last time you ran a scan. So this would be a great report to show to an executive. And then we have a much more detailed report. And here you can really see that it really gets into every vulnerability, shows you the potential solutions, the patches and the links to exactly the patches that you would need to download in order to remediate them, and potential exploits. And if you'd like, you can go and you can find these exploits online, and you can even run some of your pen testing if you would like to do so. The option is there for you. And that's just kind of a brief overview of what you can do within the portal. Oh, and finally, I just wanted to point this out, is that you can click Contact SOC and create a ticket that is unassigned to any vulnerability. It is just, you can say, hi, EIQ SOC, could you help me out with this? And you will get a very prompt response. You can use this option to do that. And finally, if you don't like inline communication, you can always feel free to just pick up the phone. We have designated SOC team phone numbers, and you call them, and they would be more than happy to speak to you. And I'll exit the SOCVue portal. And so, in conclusion, EIQ is very, very excited to offer the SOCVue Vulnerability Management Service. Powered by Qualys technology, EIQ people, and best practice processes, our service really guides you through the entire vulnerability management lifecycle. Our 24/7 Security Operations Center becomes an extension of your team, taken over the responsibilities for vulnerability detection, risk analysis and prioritization, and remediation guidance. In the process, we're sure that we're going to save you a whole bunch of time, and we're sure that it's going to cost just a fraction of alternate solutions. And that's kind of all I have for you guys. Over to Trevin for Q&A.
Great, thank you, Ivan. Just as a reminder, all attendees are in listen-only mode, so if you do have any questions, please enter them in the Q&A tab right now, and we'll do our best to answer them. It does look like we have a few coming in. Karun, this one's probably for you. Can external zero-day threats be addressed?
Yeah, Trevin, can you repeat the question?
Can external zero-day threats be addressed within Koala?
Yes, the answer is yes. The external zero-day threats can be addressed in Koala. We have a feed from Verify and iDefense that we take and we correlate it within the Koala's knowledge base, and that's done within our cloud environment today.
Great, thank you. We do have another one. Let's see. What are the factors associated with post-scan asset prioritization? So this question was around the lifecycle and how we add value with the prioritization.
So,
yeah, Trevin, could you? Yeah, sorry, Ivan, you could go ahead.
Yeah, so the way that we do this is that we assign a business value for each one of your assets, and then following the scan, we can see how long the vulnerability has been active on your system, and our internal risk score will increase if the vulnerability has been open for longer and longer, because we believe it gives the hackers a longer time to access your environment the longer it's been open. And so the risk score will go up based on the length that the vulnerability has been discovered and plus your asset value. So you'll kind of have more of an insight about potentially what business impact, if this vulnerability had been exploited, it would have on your business.
Okay. We have another one that says, can a remediation task be assigned to a specific person or specific assets?
Yeah, you're able to assign a remediation task to any member of your team that is also registered in the portal, or you can assign it to one of our SOC team members if you want more guidance.
So the next one is, in addition to patching, will the services discover and recommend configuration vulnerabilities?
I think that's a question for
Karun?
Yeah, Trevin, what's the question? In addition to patching, do we also look at configuration vulnerabilities?
Exactly.
Yeah. So today, yes, you can look at configuration vulnerabilities within Koala, but from a compliance standpoint, if you're looking at any configuration changes, for that, Koala has a different module called policy compliance. But in the VM module, you can check on those kind of vulnerabilities also.
Okay. Thank you. Another question, this is probably for Ivan. Is this a service or a solution?
It is both a service and a solution. So the solution is powered by the Koala technology, and the service is provided by the EIQ SOC team.
Okay. We have another question. It's around multi-tenancy. Do you offer a multi-tenant platform? I'm an MSP that resells SOC services.
Yes, we do.
Sure. Let's take a quick look down the list if we still have any other questions. How often is the database updated? I think that's another one for you, Karun.
Yeah, the database is actually updated daily based on the signature patterns we detect, based on our research teams that are out there, as well as feeds that we get in from vendors whose applications or whose products we patch at the end.
Right. One more for you, Ivan. How does the vulnerability integrate and enhance our security monitoring offering?
So if our SOC team has access to both information coming in from the devices on your network and information of which of these devices are vulnerable, we're better able to correlate events that happen in your system. So if we can see, for example, an attack that's happening on a firewall that we know is vulnerable, we will pay a lot more attention to that particular attack, and we will definitely inform you that that is the case.
Excellent. We have one more. I guess it's asking how do we handle application-specific exceptions if there's maybe a patch that has been decided not to be deployed? How do we handle excluding that from our?
You can very easily just inform our security operations team, and they will make sure to configure the scanner in a way that will have that exception in mind.
Excellent. We have another question kind of asking if they can learn more about our full SOC capabilities beyond vulnerability management. But that probably might be a topic for another webcast.
Probably is, but right now we have vulnerability management is the second one of our major services. The first being log management and SIM. We think those two kind of give you the biggest bang for your buck in terms of network security. So if you're interested more about our SIM service, feel free to go to our website or shoot either one of us an email, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you.
Great. Appreciate it. Looks like there's no further questions. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude today's session. But I want to thank you again all for joining us today. And thanks again to our speakers, Karim, Malik, and Ivan Jessica.
Thanks, Trevin.
Thanks, everyone.